Hey guys, how's everyone doing? Hope everyone's had a great weekend and you know did something fun. Um, Figured I'd give everyone an update. I have a appointment with an oncologist on Friday, but um, I've spent some time thinking before that and um, have some decisions that I've made that I figure I'd just kind of give everyone an update around my whole cancer situation. So, overall, I'm doing well. I'm back at work. Have first week back that went good. By and large, I'm healed up pretty good at this point. Still not 100%. I think it takes around, in theory, 8 weeks to be fully healed. So I still need to be careful, like the kinds of things I'm lifting and stuff, but I'm not in pain or anything, and more or less back to normal. So it's kind of cool to be post removal of cancer and just kind of move on a little bit. But anyway, that kind of leads me to the update. So as I was recovering, kind of my last week, right before I got back to work, I wasn't like in a ton of pain. I was feeling better. And so I had some time to think about something other than recovering. And when I was in Memphis, I had met with an oncologist there and talked to them before we knew the staging of the cancer. And they had told me that, the stage 3, definitely recommend chemo. The oncologist had actually talked to the actual oncologist, the MD. He was kind of like leaving it up in the air until we actually had staging, like he wasn't going to say anything. But I had a meeting with his NP. He ended up canceling on me, and I just wanted to talk to somebody. So this was when I had my MRI. I met with him, was not impressed with him really at all, but he did basically tell me that for stage 2, in my case, he's like, yeah, we would definitely recommend chemo if that's what it was. Because I was like, well, what if it's stage 2 or stage 3? What would you recommend? Obviously, we were waiting for the surgery, and he's like, yeah, because you're young and everything, we would say you should do chemo. I was like, well, what chemos? And so he's like, oh, F5FU and another one, platinum. And so I'm like, well, I don't really like the sound of that. Like, I heard stage 2 is kind of on the bubble. Sometimes you would do it, sometimes you wouldn't. So I was kind of already like, I don't know how I feel about this. Mostly because I'm really familiar with chemo now. Like, I know what it does to your body. I know the stuff that happens. While Luke did well with his chemo, his counts went down. He got infections. Like, there was a lot of issues with that, and he was a baby, right? So I know everyone reacts a little bit differently, and I'm sure the dosage matters too. But at the end of the day, it's really rough on your body. So I, was pretty apprehensive to getting my surgery. Just like, well, what's the staging? Because if it isn't stage 1, I'm kind of anticipating they're going to say, well, you're young, so you should do chemo, because that way, if it's floating around out there, that we get it. And so that week that I was back, or kind of the week before, I was thinking about it, and I'm like, now once I knew the staging, I'm like, I know it's stage 2, it's not stage 1, so I'm going to have that conversation with the oncologist and see what they think and what I think, and I want to be prepared for that conversation versus just going in and kind of taking it in right then. So all that to say, I basically made the decision that I don't think, I'm not planning on doing chemo at stage 2, regardless of what they recommend. And so since I kind of had that gut feeling, I was like, all right, I'm going to go do some research to see how to support this. And what I did is I went and looked online, used ChatGPT and, just a couple other resources, and checked for like, what is the success rate with stage 2 without chemo. And mine, I think, is stage 2B, is what I could tell from the pathology report. It was just a different specific thing. So I looked it up, and it's 75%. If it's stage 2A, then it's 80. If it's stage 2B, it's 75%, which are pretty good odds, right? They're not great. They're not 90%, which is, I think, more like a stage 1. But it's also not 50%. So then I looked, okay, well, if they recommend chemo, what does chemo get me? And what it basically said is it gives you 75 to 80%. So potentially a 5% bump, but then you obviously have the downsides of chemo. So I don't like those odds. It doesn't feel worth it when I don't actually have any cancer that I'm aware of. It's just as a preventative measure. So I kind of made the decision, I'm not doing chemo, like no matter what. The only way I would do chemo is if it came back, and then I'd reconsider at that point. But at this point, as far as anyone knows, I don't have cancer at all. And it just seems stupid to preventively destroy your body with chemo in case it's in there. Because there is a bunch of downsides to chemo outside of you feeling bad. Like it actually, side effects are cancer. And then the other thing that's really kind of annoying is when you look at the particular chemos that they recommended. I'll be interested to see if the oncologist here would do the same thing. But from what I can tell, colon cancer, these are the ones they use. They're chemos that came out in like the 50s. Like, these are not new cutting edge solutions. These are super old, crappy ways of doing it. And I kind of feel like we are going to get better solutions here in the next 5 to 10 years. And so if I can hang out for a little bit longer, I can get the benefit of that versus the old way, which is super destructive to your body. Well, when I was in Memphis, a friend of mine had sent me a message about a guy who had stage 3 colon cancer, had surgery, and decided not to do chemo, and kind of take it from a natural perspective. And at the time, Melody, my sister, had mentioned it to me, and I was like, cancer's a different beast. Like, you don't solve cancer with naturopath. Like, you need real help. And so I kind of just brushed it off and was like, yeah, no. And, to be fair, looking at Luke's scenario, you can't solve that naturally. I think in kids' cancer, like, it's a completely different thing. And it also depends on the cancer and stuff. But so definitely, this is no opinion on cancer treatments. I think it's all individualized based off what you have and what you're dealing with. And in some cases, chemo is the right option for sure. However, in a case where I don't have it in my body, I'm not so sure it's the right choice for me right now. And so if I made that decision, I wanted to tackle it from another angle anyway. So just general research, you can do things to be healthy. And if you are healthy, it lowers your risk of all kinds of diseases. And one of those diseases, it can lower your risk of cancer. So I just did a little research and was like, if you're super healthy, lifestyle, blah, 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 how much can that lower your risk of cancer? And it can lower your risk of cancer by like 30%. So from my perspective, if I lower my risk of cancer with lifestyle by 30%, plus my already 75% chance of good, that puts me at 105% success rate, super great odds, versus 80% if I did chemo. So that's the route I want to go, and we'll readjust if cancer comes back, but it's not going to, because I'm gonna do the lifestyle side. And this particular person had a plan that was a lifestyle side. And when I had come home, I think it was for the funeral. I don't know. I honestly don't know where it came from. But his book, even though I had kind of ignored it in Memphis, somehow I got it. I don't know who it came from, but it was, here. So I was like, all right, I'm going to read this book. And it's called Chris Beat Cancer. And he just goes over what he went through. And he had stage 3 cancer. This is back in 2003, so this is a long time ago. He's still alive. So he made it way past the 5-year mark and still alive and cooking. He was 26, so he was younger than me. And they basically told him, do chemo, you're an idiot. You're going to die if you don't. And he said, chemo just didn't make sense because, you're killing yourself Why am I killing myself instead of trying to heal myself? And so he took a much more drastic approach to his health. And that just resonates with me so much better. Like, I know what chemo does. I've seen it. I would much rather, if I am going to die, especially if those odds are only 5% bump anyway, I'd rather die not on chemo, feeling good, which is what would happen if I'm healthy, versus the chemo side. And so anyway, long story short, I decided to kind of follow his plan. I've tweaked it a tad bit for me, but pretty much I'm on it. And his plan is 90 days of basically straight vegan, with a focus on everything being raw. So just a ton of raw fruits and veggies, and then targeting very specific fruits and veggies. Because basically what it boils down to is there's been a ton of research, and he cites it all in his book. But there's been a ton of research, and there are a lot of fruits and vegetables that have cancer healing, cancer fighting properties, right? Garlic, lemon juice, green tea, like there's a turmeric. There's lots of things that have been proven to be effective at fighting cancer. And there have been people who've had terminal cancer that have just like totally changed their lifestyle, and the cancer kind of went into remission and they live to 100. Like, I mean, it does happen. Sometimes it doesn't always happen, right? But it can. And it seems like a good plan. Worst case scenario, I miss out on 5% bump. I deal with cancer when it comes back, if it does, and I get in the best health I've ever been, probably. So it seems like a no lose scenario. If anyone is looking for a book to just kind of learn about lifestyle, even though it's about cancer, it highlights holistic health and a lot of ways to do it. It's Chris Beat Cancer. I'd recommend it to everybody. It covers everything. There's one chapter on food, but there's other chapters on stress management and exercise and all these, because it's a holistic thing, right? It's the whole thing. And that's one thing that really resonated with me. Was I've already been kind of on that mindset journey for a while, but he put a lot of real details to it, and gave me a good jumping off point to start. So anyway, now I'm doing it, and what it looks like is roughly 10 to 20 servings of fruits and veggies every day. And how you do that, because it's kind of impossible to actually eat that many, is I have what he calls a giant cancer fighting smoothie for breakfast, which I have, which is a variety of things. In mine, berries are really good for fighting cancer, so blueberry, strawberry. I have a bunch of berries that I got at Costco, organic berries, which is what he actually did too. And mix it all together, put some green tea extract, because that's really strong for fighting cancer as well. A variety of things. You can read his book if you actually care about the official details, or maybe I'll show them in the future. But this video is getting long, so I'm gonna try to go faster. But big giant smoothie, that keeps me full. Then I have a big giant salad for lunch. And then for dinner, I should have another big salad, but I've kind of tweaked it a little bit, because I'm not going... I find that my body needs a little bit of cooked something in it in order to process itself well. If it's all raw, it just went through me and it was rough. So I've been having more just like steamed veggies for dinner versus another giant salad. But it's all still vegetables, right? It's not just... it's no meat, no grain, nothing like that. So I've been doing that for like 2 weeks now. Excuse me. And kind of getting in the the habit of it. Oh, and the other thing I missed is that by itself is not going to be enough veggies. So to make up for it, I also juice. So he juiced 64 ounces. I'm doing more like 32, 48 ounces. He also was a bigger guy, so I'm thinking maybe I don't need to do quite as much. But anyway, I'm juicing in the morning, and a big mix of different vegetables in that. And basically the idea is just saturate your body with high quality fruits and vegetables that have a record of helping cure cancer or, put it in remission. And the idea is for the first 2 years is when you're most likely to have it come back. And if you are doing it, it's kind of like preventative chemo, right? If there's some little piece of cancer floating around, it gets super suppressed and maybe dies out and doesn't come back. So that's the plan. That's what I'm doing now. And I do have a meeting with an oncologist. Be really interested to see what they say. If they're like, oh yeah, that makes total sense, jump on board, or if they think I'm crazy or what, we'll see. I have no idea. This particular group of people seemed more into lifestyle than the people in Memphis. But I have no idea. Well, I haven't talked to the oncologist. So that'll be interesting. The side benefit is while I was in Memphis the year in general, I've been, obviously unhealthy, stressed out, all that stuff. I put on some weight, and this will be a good opportunity for me to lose some. So far, I've already lost like 7 pounds, depending on what my start weight, 7 to 9 pounds. So if you're looking for a way to lose weight, it works. But the ultimate goal here is lifestyle change, holistic. This isn't a diet. I'm not doing it to lose weight. I'm doing it to be healthy. And that's the important part, right? And I think it's actually really important when you are looking at your health that you aren't like doing it for a weight loss number. That always seems to be a failed strategy. I've done a bunch in the past, but what happens is you kind of lose weight and then you gain it back, right? When like looking at what he was doing, it was all about just becoming a different person and become a person who doesn't gain weight, right? And then you lose it and it's gone, right? It never comes back. So weight is not the target here. Cancer is, which is a hidden enemy. But the other side is I'm getting older and there's all kinds of other things that kill people, right? There's heart disease, there's all these other things that this should help with as well. So this is a super long video. One of the things that he recommends is journaling or just kind of documenting what you're doing to keep yourself accountable. I've kind of been doing that with you guys anyway, from a different perspective. But I think what I'm going to do is do a weekly just update, saying, hey, I'm still doing it. How are you guys doing? Checking in. And then maybe start showing you guys a little bit of what's going on. Like here's what's in the salad, or this is something new I learned, or I'm doing this new workout routine or whatever. And the hope is, one, it'll keep me accountable. I'll stick with it and I'll never have cancer again in my life and I'll live to 150, right? That's my plan. And then hopefully that this resonates with some of you guys and you get inspired to take your health under control. Or maybe if there's someone else who is diagnosed with cancer and it's an early stage or something and they want an alternate opinion, they have a different thought option than just the oncologist in front of you saying you're about to die, So cancer is the number 2 killer in America, and it's on its way to becoming number 1, which is kind of insane considering the fact that where we are technologically, and the truth of the matter is the healthcare system, has a vested interest on people being on drugs. So they're not really curing people, they're just giving you drugs. And part of that is because they know that you aren't going to take control of your own life and be healthy, right? So they're like, well, if you're going to do stupid stuff, the best I can do is give you a drug. But it is all on us to decide to do something different, feel better, be good role models for our kids, and, just be a healthier person. You'll feel better and and you'll just be happier. So my plan is oh, geez, a stupid cough. Be as healthy as I've ever been. And, if I'm going to go out the best way I possibly can. And because of that, I'm not going anywhere. Anyway, I know this is super rambly, super long. I'll do another update next week. Hope you guys have a wonderful week. See you later.